What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna be talking about some problems, some issues, some imperfections, some nasty shit that I have going on with this car. And I feel like a lot of people don't even talk about this on YouTube because you get this perfect perception over on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever platform that you decide to be on, and it just seems like, wow, that person has an amazing car. Wow, that install only took them 30 minutes, but in reality it took the person 4 hours, but they only show you the nice highlighted parts. So we're gonna be talking about some of the issues I have with this car because I really wanna just show you guys that this car is nowhere near perfect by any means. On camera, it looks a lot better than it does in person. I wish it looked as good as it did on camera in person, but I can't control that as of right now. It just takes some hard work in order to get that thing looking nice and pretty. So one of the very first things I do wanna talk about that this car has a minor issue, I would say, not really anything too major. You might see this front lip and think, wow, that thing looks cool. Yeah, it looks a little dirty at the moment, and it's kind of great for this video because it just shows how kind of gross this car is at the moment. But as you start noticing and little imperfections here and there, like I got a little chip right here on the bumper. I have my washers held up with like this, I don't know, this PSV that goes around it to make sure it doesn't spider crack anymore. And you can see like the bumper is just it's in terrible shape. This is the worst part of the car in my opinion because there are so many little chips and cracks and dings, and I haven't painted this thing in so long, and I just don't plan on doing it anytime soon. And you also realize too, if you caught on to it already, is you'll see that these rods right here, like they make a lot of random noise, and they don't really do it when I'm driving, but you can see they're all chipped up and they don't look pretty. Yeah, that front end isn't really that good looking. It might look good from a distance, like from here, it looks, oh, it doesn't look that bad. It actually looks pretty good on camera. As you start getting closer, you're just like, this is fucking disgusting. And even this too, and I feel like a lot of you guys probably have this on your cars as well, when the dealership just wanted to just blow some holes over in the bumper, and it kind of sucks, so I'm gonna have to get those filled in one of these days. And as we start making our way to the side of the car, you'll also realize too, like, wow, this thing actually looks pretty damn nice. You're wrong. You're like, oh well, this looks great, but you start looking at some of the chips inside the brakes, and you also might realize too that the rim might be in different color in certain areas because I ended up hitting the McDonald's drive-through curb at one point. As you can see, like right here's like a little bit of a wear and tear on there. And you also realize too, in the backside is not pretty either. You get some minor chips here and there, and it's not going to look the best as it possibly can. And also too, with the brakes on this side too, just stuff needs to be just changed or even cleaned up and replaced over time. And my favorite part of the car is the rear end, because don't get me wrong, I love this rear end. I love the spoiler, I love the taillights, I love the deck, I love everything about this. This is literally my favorite part of the car, where I can just be like, damn, that looks aggressive. Some of the issues I'm currently running into right now, which I'm not really too concerned about, but it's just some of those things I would like to point out to show you guys once again that this car is nowhere near perfect. It's not even show car worthy, really, to be honest with you. And we're gonna start off with my favorite part, and that is the trunk. I don't know how well it's picking up over on camera, but as you can see, it is just yellow, like straight up yellow. You can even see some of the primer showing up in some areas, that little blue specks on there. The clear coat's just completely destroyed. Thank you, Vegas, for this hot ass sun. And you also realize too that even this carbon fiber little gurney flap doesn't line up perfectly, and it never lined up perfectly in the first place because it's not meant to sit this way over on the spoiler, because technically you're supposed to cut this section out of the spoiler in order for it to sit nice and flush, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to let it sit a little higher, but it just does not sit as nice as I would like it to. But I'm able to deal with it, and I'm able to control it. Now the next section we're also going to talk about as well on this rear bumper. I love this deck lid. It looks amazing. It looks awesome. It looks so much better than that big ass circle shit that they had in the back here before. But you'll realize that this thing just does not stick good at all. And no matter what I do, no matter what I try, there's always going to be a gap all the way across the top. And it drives me absolutely nuts because it'll stick for about a day and a half. It'll sit flush. It will sit nice. Then it'll want to peel back and do whatever crap it wants to do later. And so I'm like, you know what? It's not going anywhere. It's not flying anywhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day I'm driving home from school or I'm driving home from work and that thing is just not there anymore. And at that point, I'm just going to go ahead and buy a carbon fiber one. So I'm not really too concerned if that thing flies off. As much as I don't want it to, if it does, I mean, it's out of my control. But it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I pulled on it a few times and it seems like it's good to go. But if you guys know how to fix that, please let me know, because I've tried everything. I've tried double-sided tape. I've tried, actually that's the only thing I've really tried. I have a few ideas here and there, but I just don't really want to do it right now. These taillights are the most badass taillights you could buy for this car, especially on the market right now. They are so good looking and they match so well well with the black and white, or even if you had like a blue, or even if you had like a black, just whatever color, they just look great. But I'm not entirely sure if it's because I live in Vegas where it's just hot as shit out here all the time, or if it's just because of these taillights were just not really manufactured well. By the way, I ended up buying these when they first came out, but you'll realize here too, it's a little dirty to notice it, but these taillights started to like fade right here, unfortunately, and I love these things, and it was really unfortunate that these happened, and it's not as shiny as the other sides. And the reason why is because it just started chipping up and it started to look like a chunky chocolate milk, unfortunately. And it made me sad because I thought these would have held up a lot longer than they did. There's nothing wrong with the function of them, but it just seemed like the clear coat on them wasn't really that good. Another thing as well, and this is what happens when you start manufacturing your own parts and you don't really do the scientific facts and evidence that these things will work well, but these side skirts. These side skirts are one of the coolest things I think I've ever made for the car, and I'm gonna give all credit to my dad because my dad's the one who pretty much came up with the design. Because personally, me, I originally wanted to use this whole side skirt. Imagine this, width of this right here, of how wide this is, I want to say it's like a few inches, and let it run all the way across like a boxy style, all the way to the front, and add something similar to what you see right here, this little mud flap shit, and then put it over on this side as well to give it this like wide body Celine appearance. And I thought it would have looked so badass, but he ended up bringing up a really good point. What's gonna happen if somebody steps on them when they get into your car? And I'm like, no one's gonna go in my car. It just seems like it was always a hassle to make sure. And I was like, don't step on them, don't step on them. It was like, I didn't want to go through all that. And even to this day, some people still step on those. So I'm just imagining what would have happened if those things were any bigger. But the idea of these were technically to make it to where it kind of like is like this, I don't even know what you would call this UFO style shit. I don't know. But I thought it would look really cool to kind of give it a bit different appearance, because you'll start seeing a lot of Mustangs. We're going off of a similar style as I just told you guys earlier with that boxy style side skirt. And these are a lot wider than a normal side skirt you'd buy on the market, but I wanted something that made the side of the car look a lot wider to go really well with this front aggressive lip, and also as well this aggressive rear end. So I wanted everything to flow really well with one another, and I felt like this was a great way to do so. But the issue I start running into these is that they get, as you can see, extremely dirty whenever it starts to rain outside, and you can't really see it now because I ended up swapping them out, but you might notice a lot of rocks sitting over at the bottom. They collect rocks like crazy. I feel like it's a snow plow. That's how bad these things can get. But they look really good when they're clean. They look really good when they actually do what they're supposed to. But just picking out all those rocks with like a chip and everything, it's just not fun. The car looks amazing on camera, but when it comes to being in person, there is a lot more imperfections than you may think. And another thing as well that I almost forgot to bring up are these carbon fiber mirror caps. And I ended up making a video on these a while back, and for whatever reason, I keep bringing up these carbon fiber mirror caps in a lot of these videos already, but they look really good and I like them. The only downside though is that they don't fit flush at all. You'll see right here that they have this little bit of a gap right here, and it's because I bought these off eBay and I was not expecting them to be perfect anyway. That one doesn't look too bad. This side though, on the other hand, isn't that good. And as you can see, there's a little bit of white showing right here because I did not wrap this thing good, and it just did not sit well at all. We haven't even gone into the interior yet. I mean, I'm just like, it's gonna get fun.
Would you mind showing these two to the door?
Thank you, Chip.
Oh yeah, we'll also bring up this too. Doorknobs, all chipped up. Next, you'll notice the interior looks amazing. I love this interior. I feel like personally me, whenever you drive a car, you need to have a comfortable interior, because if you don't have a comfortable interior, you're not gonna enjoy driving your car, because this is what you see every single time you drive your car. You're not looking at the outside of the car, you're looking at the inside of the car. This is where you spend majority of your time. And I feel like having the comfortability of knowing that this looks badass to me and I love driving this car is mainly because of the interior. But some of the issues I end up running into with this interior is really not many. But one of the issues I run into is this right here. Whenever it gets cold outside, this thing loves to fall off. So I have to turn on the heater, tuck this thing in, and make sure it sits nice and flush. And I think the reason why is because this is all bent right here, and this needed to be, you know, more flush, but I think that's the reason why this thing pops out. But that's one of the main reasons why I was having issues with this, is because it doesn't get hot enough and it just like wants to get all solid and it falls out whenever I push on the gas, which in a way, I'm not even gonna lie, it's kind of cool because it makes me feel like I got power in this car, but I really don't. This car is slow as shit. And another issue I have as well, and I feel like a lot of you guys have already brought up this already in videos, because you absolutely love the steering wheel. You're like, where'd you get the parts? They look awesome, this and that. I personally made these myself, and this was one of the very first things I ended up making out of carbon fiber. I'm trying to learn how to build some carbon fiber because I love making carbon fiber stuff, but it become increasingly difficult whenever you don't know really what you're doing if you don't have the right and proper tools. So one of the things I ended up trying to do was making these little covers right here. They look great and they look cool from a distance, but as you start getting closer up, you start seeing all these little grooves and crevices and everything like that. You can even hear it too. It's more hollow on this side than it is on this side. And we're not even gonna get started with this side because it's not as good either. And you can also see too, it's like there's a little bump right here, there's little lumps. Doesn't stay as flush as it could be. And it is not pretty. No one's car is gonna be pretty. No one's gonna be perfect by any means. You just gotta enjoy it and just accept it for what it is, because if you had this perfect car, you probably wouldn't be driving on the road and it'd be sitting in a garage or like in a museum or some shit, and it'd just be like one of those where you're just not having fun with it. Personally, me, I want to have fun with this car. I didn't just get it to just go look at it. I got it because I want to enjoy it and have fun with it. I get people all the time asking me, why are you spending all this money on a V6? Because I want to enjoy it. Even if you had a 5.0, I want to enjoy it. Yes, it might cost some money and it's going to be expensive, but what am I going to do with that money? I mean, I can't take it to the grave. I'm going to enjoy every little bit of money that I have now and use it to the best of I can, because why am I going to work for the rest of my life to go work for somebody else and go pay somebody else instead of treating myself first, but also taking care of my responsibilities as well? So I feel like just having these parts just makes it fun. It keeps you a hobby. If you bought everything all at once, it's not gonna be as fun because you're gonna have nothing to look forward to later on. So just having that drive and that anxiety and that excitement of being able to just go buy a part after some time of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting just makes it all pay off later, and you just appreciate it that much more. I picked up the camera and thought, you know what, this would be a great video to make because there's not a lot of people out there that really talk about the imperfections in their car. You only see the great stuff about it. You only see how awesome they look or what they've done or anything like that, and I thought, let's just change it up a little bit. Let's start talking about some of the bullshit on here that people don't usually see or people don't usually talk about. I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you guys want to see more content on this car, please smash that like button down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.